Yo, what's going on, you guys? Your boy Devon Terrell, and welcome to another Help Me Devon Raw tutorial. And today, in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you an ultimate guide to get your 808s to sound and hit harder using a dope plugin that I've recently discovered called Waves Berzerk Distortion. Let's get right to it. Okay, so first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this 808, and I'm going to play it without all the processing that I put on it, including the Bezerk Distortion plugin. I did a little bit of compression, a little bit of EQ, and then I dropped on the secret sauce, which is the Bezerk Distortion. So listen to it before and after. First, before. After. Now, make sure that you're using headphones or studio monitors to hear this, because that difference is a low-end kind of thing, and it is a huge difference. You can literally hear the sides feel wider. You can feel like the 808 has more grit, more bite, and it's more aggressive, which is very popular in modern-day hip-hop music. So how did I get this? I'll show you right here. So first thing first is what I started with. Before I got to the Bezerk plugin, what I like to do is I'd like to do a little bit of control on my dynamics, of course. So this is how I like to compress my 808s. I come right over here. I like to usually use this 76. It's another Waves plugin. And I like to do a very slow attack and a very fast release. So basically I want that 808, the transients to still come through, and I still want them to be released really, really fast. So basically it's like it's being compressed and released, compressed and released. So I'm still getting that tail of the 808, and I'm able to bring that up so you can hear the subtleties of that 808 as well. So listen closely. I'll pop it in and out so you can hear it. So without first. So already you can hear the bass of the 808 get a lot more meaner, a lot more louder. You can hear the subtleties come up a lot more, much better. Next thing I did was I moved on over to the Tech. Great plugin. I like to use it on low-end information. To be honest, sometimes I just slap it on and I don't even move the knobs. Really great plugin. So basically I added 3 dB at 30 hertz just to give me a little bit more boom in the subby region. So listen closely. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, well, it felt like it got lower. Yes, I did have to turn it down in order to keep my gain staging correct and keep my levels matched. But when I played it back loud, I noticed that there was more bottom end, but at the same time, the top end was still coming through and cutting through my mix. So it was fine. Sometimes that's just how it has to work. But as far as what I was trying to accomplish, I accomplished it by getting some more sub out of that 808. Now, the secret sauce, the moment you've been waiting for. This incredible plugin that I've just discovered. So this is Brizard Distortion. Now, what I did with this was I went over and pulled a preset from it called Clean and Wide, because I wanted to make this 808 wide, but at the same time, I don't want to cause too many issues in my mix as far as phase and things are concerned. And this plugin did it really, really well. That's really popular in modern day hip hop. I've noticed that a lot of these 808s sound wide, and I always try to figure out how that was accomplished, and this plugin helps me do it without me having to do 1,000,001 things. Really dope. So I'll A/B it back and forth so you can see exactly what the plugin did for me. All right, so without first. Saturation, distortion, very, very important to your mixes, to your 808s, to all types of things that you use in audio. Now, let me dive into this plugin and help you understand what this amazing thing just did. Okay, so one thing that I really want to highlight with this Brizard Distortion plugin that's really amazing is the fact that it gives me the option, to move between stereo, mid, and sides, What do I mean by that? It lets you choose, do you want this plugin to affect your entire sound? Do you want it to affect just the middle of the sound? Or do you just want it to affect the side information? And that's extremely powerful. And the reason why I think that's extremely powerful is because, say for instance that I have an 808 or any information that I like how the middle sounds. I think the middle sounds great. Usually like 808s, the warmth, the hit, all that stuff is usually in the very middle. Now on the sides, you don't want that type of information on the sides. You don't want information that is very low end on the sides. It's going to destroy your headroom. It's going to eat a lot of your headroom. So what do I do? What you're doing is you're adding some harmonics, some saturation, some distortion to give you some higher frequencies that basically give that sound off, but it's not low end sound. It's like low mid frequency sounds, distortion that you're getting that you can now push to the sides and leave that middle alone. So I love this plugin for that because it lets me just affect the sides. So if you look closely, you see this S right here I hit, that is only affecting the sides. So I told this plugin, I only want to affect the sides, leave my middle alone. That functionality is amazing in itself. So this is what I did. Let's dive right in. So just to break down the plugin for the most part, some really cool knobs that make it very, very easy to understand and is self-explanatory. For instance, we have a temperature button, right? And it goes from a red to a blue. Now you can already assume that red might sound a little bit more grittier, blue might sound a little cooler. So let's test it out right now. Okay, so it's a very subtle difference. And the reason why is because I'm using it in stereo. Excuse me, I'm using it in its side information. Let me put it in stereo. And then what I'll do is I'll leave it in stereo for now. When I leave it in stereo, I'm gonna let you hear what these effects are, the effects exaggerated so you can see exactly what it can do. So we're gonna move this over to stereo instead, as opposed to the side that I had it in. So listen closely. I'm going to turn down the output just a wee bit so it's not too loud. Because when this thing is on, this thing is on. Listen close. Okay, so now you can see when I threw it over to that red, you felt that thing get gritty, you felt it get aggressive. And when I threw it over to the blue, you felt it get smoother and more, I want to say flat dynamically, but it can be conducive to whatever you're trying to accomplish. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, this is a mean, grittier song. So what I wanted to do was I like that red, I like that temperature control to give me that. All right, moving right along, going back to my original. Moving right along. This also has this awesome option of character, right? And basically what this character button does is it gives me a bunch of different characters as far as the waveform and how it treats the bass information or just any information that you feed into it as far as the distortion. So it literally gives you a different character depending on what you pick of whatever audio information you're doing. So let's just cipher through a few. I'm going to keep this in stereo as far as what I'm affecting off the strength of I want you to be able to hear and exaggerate the sound. So listen closely. So you can see, depending on what your style or what you're trying to accomplish, you can get some killer, crazy sounds out of this thing by just changing the waveform. Something also awesome that I've seen is this option right here, this button right here that says go in Berserk or go Berserk. Ha, I just got it. So basically, when you click the go in this plugin, to me, it looks like it randomizes the waveform, which basically can just give you an idea of just trying things. And this can help you more or less experiment with things and probably gain a new sound out of it. So as you keep hitting go, you'll notice that the waveform continuously changes, and this is affecting your information. So let's just keep pressing go and see what it sounds like. Listen close. So you can see, depending on which one you pick or what you click on go, it changes the waveform as far as how it's affecting the distortion to your audio information. Dope, really, really dope. I'm gonna mess around with a few of these knobs, and I'm gonna show you some things as far as what it does, and then I'll break them down. So I'm just gonna play with some knobs just to show you how cool of a sound this thing can basically create just by messing around with some knobs and seeing what you can come up with, and then taking those things and dialing it in. And I'll show you how I dialed in my settings for what I wanted it for. So let's just play around with some of the buttons, and then I'll explain some of the things that it does. So. Okay, so a lot of distortion, and it's magical, it's analog, it sounds great. It's in the box nonetheless, but it is an analog saturation plugin. It's so cool to hear, and it's still going right now. One sec. A lot of cool things can be done with this plugin. I mean, I love it so much. Let's move on over. So this right here, the feedback control, all of these controls you hear is a lot of modulation effects. You can affect the pitch, you can affect the speed of the information. A lot of different things that you could do within this, from blend to level, low, high, speed, a bunch of different things, even a high pass and low pass filter in there to affect the speeds and controls. Then you can move on to the dynamic section, which feels like it's more of some type of compression. Really cool stuff that you can bring out in the information with that setting, with this particular module. Next over here is self-explanatory. You have an EQ, which you can basically EQ what you've been creating from the Bezerk plugin. That's pretty self-explanatory. You could totally understand that. Really a lot of functionality within the actual plugin, so you don't have to do the distortion and then figure out or pull from other plugins to make it right. You can literally fine-tune it right within the plugin. Another thing I'll show you is this HD button. I know you've been seeing it. Long story short, this HD button, from what I've understood, is that it puts more load on your CPU power, but it sounds better, straight up. So if you turn it off, it will take less load on your CPU, but it sounds a lot better with it on. So it's a choice that you have. So if you're working on a weaker system, for instance, you can compensate for that. You understand what I'm saying? Pretty self-explanatory in that one too. So I'm gonna go back to the settings that I had right over here. And like I said, I decided to switch this not to stereo, but instead on sides, because I already like the sound of the 808 that I had. I just wanted a little bit more, and I wanted primarily to make a wider 808. So of course, what I wanted to do was I wanted to take that and I wanted to push it out. But you don't want to take that low information and push it out. So instead, what I did was I added some distortion, some saturation onto that 808, and it gave me some information to push out. That's why I like this plugin. plugin, and that's what I did with it. So you can see my settings, the whole nine of what I kind of came up with, and that's it. Obviously, you can play around with it yourself and figure out how you like it. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this demo slash plugin tutorial on the Bezerk Distortion plugin, something that I will be using on a lot of my bass information and other things as time progresses. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. If you look in the link in the description, you can also download for this plugin. It's available, etc. And let me know if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. Make sure you follow us at Help Me Devon on the Instagram. And until next time, you guys.